Hi there, this is Lee McQueen, and I was just reading up on the New Deal once more, Franklin Delano Roosevelt's policy initiatives that rescued North America from the Great Depression. In the 1920s, there had been so much recklessness, such wild abandonment, and lack of regulation by financial institutions that it led to a market crash in 1920s. And so, by the grace of strong leadership and a steady hand, Roosevelt, FDR, pulled this country in the 1930s out of the Great Depression and back towards the road to economic stability, just in time for a world war. But anyway, there's thinking that the Green New Deal will implement a lot of the major planks of the original New Deal, the 1930s New Deal. And so basically, there's three parts. Franklin Delano Roosevelt strictly regulated the cause of the market crash in the first place, the financial institutions, the financial sector that just ran wild and reckless over the people who really weren't expecting that level of craziness. But they had been the major culprit in causing the Great Depression in the first place. And this was made worse by government thinking that they had to let the financial market, rule itself, which was impossible. And we're seeing that today as well. So the provision of funding for infrastructure, that was his second step after regulation. He provided funding for infrastructure, and part of which of that was paid for by an increase in taxes on big business and the rich and the wealthy. This measure also has the positive effect of dramatically decreasing income inequality. And so, what people have seen as kryptonite, and they're almost afraid to say it out loud, and there's so much hostility towards the very idea of taxing the rich and the wealthy and big businesses who, more often than not, wish to escape their tax burden. Roosevelt insisted on that, and that's how he was able to pay for his New Deal. And so, unless someone comes up with a better solution, we might just have to look to the past to see which policies worked and how they were implemented. But the third plank that Roosevelt used, he decided to invest billions of dollars in a wide range of infrastructure projects, such as highways and dams and bridges, as well as training and having better working conditions for the workforce. And that purpose was to get people back to work and generate business opportunities and to redistribute income amongst a large swath of people. And in that way, in these three ways, he improved the economy. It took a strong hand and a fair hand, someone with steadiness who could withstand criticism and resentment and attempts to go back to the 1920s. And so Roosevelt was that person. FDR is a great leader. And I just said, who fits that model today? Who can bring us up to speed with a Green New Deal, which is seeming like the way we're headed if we want to head off climate change and fossil fuel dependency. And endless wars for oil. It looks like a Green New Deal might be just what the doctor ordered. Um, and I'm just saying, who among our leadership today is the person to lead this nation in the tradition of FDR? And, I'm looking at either Bernie Sanders or Dr. Jill Stein, who are both very clear in their vision, have a very dedicated passion towards the idea of redistributing income in a fair way and requiring the wealthy and the rich to pay their fair share of taxes instead of consistently trying to find ways to escape the tax burden, as well as big businesses, large corporations, gargantuan, world-ending corporations. And so I always come back to either Bernie Sanders or Jill Stein. And I look at the other candidates, Donald Trump, Gary Johnson, and Hillary Clinton, and I just say probably not. I would think that Donald Trump would probably give it sort of a try, but then he might lose interest. If this is not new and shiny and gold leaf plated and things like that. I would think he would think it was a good idea, but I don't think he would focus on it and see it through. Gary Johnson, definitely not. He is anti-government regulation. It goes against everything a libertarian holds dear. So Gary Johnson is not the person to lead such a movement, which leaves Hillary Clinton. And again, I say no. Hillary Clinton does not have a strong, steady hand. She capitulates to the wealthy and to the rich and to big business. And so she is not the person to lead such a movement towards the future, the Green New Deal, averting climate change, redistributing income in an equal manner, focusing on our infrastructure, making improvements, modernizing it, and then revitalizing the push for alternative energy sources. So it always comes back to Bernie Sanders and or Jill Stein, which is why I'm really hoping, since both of them represent the future of the United States, of North America, I hope that either one or the other or the both find some way to prevail.